So I finished this series yesterday with my brother, and I'm still trying not to cry. It's been almost a whole 24 hours, and I'm still trying not to cry. This series was it was something else. Like I had seen like some TikToks or something like that on like somewhere on social media, Instagram, somewhere, YouTube, people making fun of this series, and I did not realize how serious it was because of those videos, trying to be like funny and whatnot, I guess. But it was good. But it was good. It had me. Oh god, it had me. But it was good. But anyway, so I got like a lot of like what was that series called? Game Room? Not Game Room. Yeah, Game Room. No, Escape Room. I'm tripping. Escape Room. I was getting Escape Room from this series, like an Asian version of Escape Room. Not to like, some people like, oh, don't compare one series to the other, not to try and make a comparison, but that's just what I got. It reminded me of Escape Room. Um, but yeah, so I don't remember any of the characters' names in this, so please don't be offended. Nicknames for everybody. So the main character, I felt so bad for him because he was like, he was working, trying to do the right thing, take care of his, wife, his pregnant wife. And then the factory lays him off, which they didn't tell you, much about that until like halfway or like past halfway through the series. That he was working for like, I think it was like a car manufacturing company or something like that. And they basically fired everybody like after they messed up with the money. So they doing goofy stuff with the money, and then they lay everybody off. Like it's their fault that they messed up with the money. And all these people got like families, they got bills to pay, and they created like, I think they built some sort of like a little fort somewhere in the building, and they were like, we not leaving. Like, y'all gonna do something, but we not leaving. And then they called the police, they threw gas, they beat those men. And I think his friend like got hit or stabbed or something, and he like bled out. And I was like, that was very traumatic. That was very traumatic for him. And then he ended up having to stay with his mom, and his mom was suffering from diabetes, and he couldn't do anything because he didn't have no money, because he had no job. And he went to like, his wife's like husband, his ex-wife's new husband. And he basically was like, here, I'll loan you the money. And he was like, I'll pay you back, I swear. And he was like, no, this is like, basically in so many words, he was like, no, this is me paying you to stay away from me, my daughter, my son, and my wife. And he first of all, now how you gonna assault the guy? Like, I know that like he was, that was kind of a low blow, but two wrongs don't make a right. But anyways, and then he gonna go back and go in the game. And this is after, like, I'm just thinking, okay, maybe this is just like, they're just gonna be playing regular games, right? And if you get eliminated, you go back home, like in the story. But I kept saying, I think that this is supposed to be like a horror series. My brother was talking about some, oh no, I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything. I'm seeing it in the trailers. And they're all like, oh yeah, they just looking at the money, like talking about some, you're gonna get 45 billion if you win. And they just looking at the money, and they're like, oh, I want 45 billion? Yeah. So then they go talking about some red light, green light. And the little machine was like, turning its head around like, when I say red light, green light, you run towards the finish line. When I'm quiet, you stop. And I was like, I mean, it sounds easy. I mean, I don't remember playing red light, green light. Well, I remember playing, I think, a game like it. But I mean, the directions were pretty understandable, right? So, at first everybody was a little skeptical. So they were like, I don't know about this. It's giving me, Children of the Corn vibes, because they were in like what looked like an open field, and it looked like, a field of corn or like wheat behind them. So, those two guys, they were just being immature, trying to challenge each other. And then this boy gonna run out, and then he's like wobbling, like trying to catch his, balance. And then the thing turns around, sees him, uses a motion sensor, and then he gets shot. And then nobody, it's just like, so did it shoot him so fast that nobody noticed that he got shot? And then when he was laying there, they were like, oh, get up. What happened to you? And he spits out blood. And they were like, oh my God. And then to make things even worse, so it's like, okay, it just told you, if you move after it says red light, green light, you're eliminated. And if he got eliminated, what does that tell you? You're gonna get shot if you move. These people panicked. It was like 456 of them, and I only remember that number because the main character was number 456, the literal last person. These people start running. I think like they shaved off like half of the numbers just because they panicked. If you were gonna panic and run back to the door, they should have panicked after the silence was over, like during red light, green light. They all panicked and ran trying to get out, and all got gunned down. And I was like, and then people just standing there where they like getting like knocked over and like falling down, brains and guts flowing everywhere, and I was like, I was not ready for this. And they're all freaking out like, oh God, it just got real. And then the old man was like, run, 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 jumps. And he's like, still. I'm like, so no, why does the old man get it, but y'all can't see him to grasp it? And he was like smiling because he was talking about how he had like a brain tumor and he was dying anyways. And I was like, sir, this is not something to be smiling about, okay? Like, you might be dying soon, no offense, but everybody else is full of life, okay? Like, they want to go back home. And so many people got shot. Like, they lost like over half of the people just from that game alone, just from round one. And I was like, if that's what they have, if games like that is what they have in store, I don't want to know the other ones. I don't even want to see the other ones. I don't want to think of them. And then the main character, he almost died the first round. That man was blessed. Okay, he had angels watching over him. Because he almost died the first round. But the guy from Pakistan, you know, grabbed him and like, that guy had to be strong. If he could hold another grown man up by his shirt with just his hand and be still enough to not get detected by a motion sensor, okay, yeah, I need you on my team, because if I need somebody to punch somebody out, you gonna be the person to do it. And then they barely made it. And everybody was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then you had women throwing themselves on the floor talking about, I'll pay my debt, just let me go. And they were like, fires a shot in the air, which I knew that was what they were going to do because everybody was like losing their minds. And they were like, well, if you want to leave, you know, remember the directions are already have. So I had forgot the directions myself. Like I would not make it in a lot of these movies, like, because sometimes I have a short-term memory, and those directions, even if it was like 3 directions, I had already forgot sitting there. And like the guy who was like the best friend of the main character, we're just gonna call him Businessman, with his nice little blazer or whatever, I was like, okay, he looks real cool, I'll give him that, he looks very attractive. So he comes up and he was like, well, rule number 3 said, if majority of us don't want to be here no more, we can take a vote, and if majority of us say we don't want to be here, then y'all have to let us go. And they were like, well, you're right. Is that what y'all want to do? And they were like, heck yeah. And so they take a vote, and it's crazy because I think it was like 201 of them, which, like I said, they started off with 456 people. Let that sink in. That was over half of them. They got taken out. It was literally 201. So that one person, that last person, which the old man was the one that's going to decide their fate. And I was like, this is crazy. But what would have been even more crazy if it was like 200 people? Because then, like, what happens if, you know, 100 said yes and 100 said no? But he was like the literal deal breaker. And I was like, I'm afraid, because this man said he has nothing left to live for. They're like, he's going to die anyways, and he would rather die at least, you know, in an exciting way. And I was like, I think he's going to keep them there. But he goes over there and he presses that no. And I was like, thank Jesus. But because they had like 8 other episodes, I knew that something was going to happen. And so, you know, the people who didn't want to go, they were like, well, gosh darn it. You know, and they were like, oh man. And I was like, they can get over it. Like, y'all are walking away with your lives. Like, y'all almost just died. Just walk away. And they didn't fail to like rub it in their faces. Oh, you're gonna go back to your miserable little lives where you have so much debt that you can't even do blah 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 and this. And all I heard was blah 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 blah. You're trying to make me feel bad because I'm not trying to put my life on the line for your entertainment. Shut up, leave me alone. I'm going back home. But unfortunately, like, I think most of them did not do that. Most of them went back home and was like, dang, they were right. This is miserable, and I do want that money. I do want to risk my life to get that money, that moolah. And I was like, listen, I know it's hard, but do you really want to do this? Like, really? Because all of y'all are gonna have to die. And it's funny, like, people, but that's the mentality of gambling with money, with your life. it's like nobody thinks that they're going to be the one to get screwed over, to die, to lose everything. They always think, oh no, I'm gonna win. You might lose, but I'm gonna win. And I'm like, but the other person's thinking the same thing. So what are you? So they were showing like the lifestyle of everybody, some things here and there. The old man found the main character, and he was like, "Oh man, what are you doing over here?" And he was like, "Oh, I have like some friends in the neighborhood. I was just, he's letting me stay with him." Talking about he had that sad old man with a sickness down pat. He was like, "Oh, I just, when I was, younger, I would buy my boy a toy truck." And I'm just like, if he's trying to make him feel bad for not having money, he's doing a really good job. But anyways, and then this guy, like I said before, whenever he went back to his ex-wife to try and get some money, and then she was like, "I don't have it." Like, she kept looking at him. She was like, "I don't have the money." And he was like, "Just anything, please." She was like, "I don't have the money." And he was like, "My mother, she has diabetes." And at first I thought he was lying on his mother, because he like swore on her life that, to that girl, whenever they literally threw them out with their hands and legs tied after they quit the first round, talking about some, "Swear on your mom you're not gonna haggle me about the money I stole from you." And he was like, he literally swore on his mother, and she was like, "I feel bad for your mama." She could have just left him there anyways, but then again, she did steal from him. So, she was like, "I feel bad for your mama," and then she just like, walks away. But at first I thought he was lying, but his mother really did have diabetes, and I feel really bad for him. And so he was really trying to get that money, but he just decided that, I'm gonna do this by myself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, look, I know that, but I mean, it's like almost dying really worth it? Like, you keep thinking that you're gonna make it, but you might not make it. You might end up dead, and then what you gonna do? Like, at least if you're alive, you can still try to find a job, and yes, it's gonna take like a long time, but get the money that you need. Anyway, so they go back, and then round number 2, I forgot what round number 2 was. I think round number 2 was like the little candy things. He had that lip quiver down, the main character, whoever he was. He had that lip quiver down pat. But nothing topped that scene. I kept telling my brother, and we busted out laughing. Nothing topped that scene where he was like, he kept asking his friend, which I hadn't noticed that was his friend. They grew up together, and his friend, the businessman, we're just gonna call him the attractive businessman. He went to like, the university. He got, his degree, and then he was working. He becomes a businessman, and he did something crazy with his money, with his mom's business, basically gambling on some like investment that basically went to garbage, and he lost everything. Or well, he was like neck deep in trouble and debt, and he got in there so that he could like help his mom and get out of debt. And I feel like he did kind of slightly have this like mightier than thou attitude a little bit, like, "Oh, you don't understand, like, I'm the one who needs the money the most." I'm like, no, there are some people who also feel like that they need the money the most. And so they were all together, and he was kind of like, he was like, "Well, why are you here? I know why I'm here. I ain't got no job, and I gotta help my mom, but why are you here? You're the one who went to college, you got the degree, you're the businessman." He kind of just like he wouldn't swallow enough of his pride to just admit why he was there. But anyways, so they kept asking him, like, "Okay, well, you're the smart person in the group." It was him, the guy from Pakistan, the old man, and his best friend, the attractive businessman. And so he was trying to ask them, "Okay, what do you think? Like, you're good at these little games. Like, you remember this. What do you think we're going to play next?" He was like, "I don't know." And so then when they got to the little shapes things, I was like, "Okay, so what is this?" I was nervous for everybody. They were like, "Stand in front of a line with a shape, and then we'll proceed from there," or whatever. And so he was like, "Well, what should we do?" And he was like, "Oh, let's just split up. Since there's 4 of us, we can each get in 4 different lines or whatever." So he goes to the line with the umbrella. And so the young woman, who she actually had freckles, we're just gonna call her the young woman with the freckles. She had, climbed up the air ducts. I don't know why I call them air ducts, but whatever. And she saw them mixing the sugar, and so she was telling the other lady, like, because the other lady kept haggling her. I'm just calling her the crazy lady. Crazy lady kept haggling her, talk about, "Well, what are we gonna do? What did you see? Tell me what you saw. I helped you up my life." And she was like, "They were melting sugar." And she was like, but why? Then it was candy or whatever. And so they made those little things, and they had like a flashback that the attractive businessman saw when he was like, a little kid. And so they like make these shapes, you know, some are shaped in a circle, some are shaped in like, you know, a triangle. You had like the umbrella and the star. So they were like, they had like a little pen. They basically like handed out, you know, little like containers with different shapes in there that they had made out of the, you know, the sugar. And they basically gave them these needles and were like, you have to cut out the shape, and if you break the shape, you're eliminated. If you don't cut out the shape before the 15, I think it was like 10 or 15 minute mark, you're also eliminated. And he looked at that umbrella, and nothing topped the pan in, like when the camera panned in on his face and the background like went out, and he looked up at the camera and he was like, I'm so screwed. And I was like, this man literally chose the hardest shape to cut out. All of those curves and ridges and swoops. I was like, at least put like a circle. You could just, you know, just go around in a circle. You could do like an arc and then like another arc. I was like, oh my God, how is he gonna survive this? And then he like remembered like how, you know, sweat and, you know, well, saliva, they, you know, degrade food. So he was like licking it, and everybody was looking at him like, and he was just making it so weird. And I guess he couldn't help it. But he was like he was making it weird. I don't even want to do it on camera. But anyways, then everybody was like, oh, that's right. And then they all start copying him. And the guy in the black, who was like the macho man, the one in charge, you know, under the VIPs, was looking like, what are they doing? Like, I guess people would do anything to live. And so they are doing all this, and then he manages to get it out, and he's like, oh, and then they're like shooting people, and it's like making people like freak out while they're trying to like, you know, do what I gotta do. I'm like, y'all gotta make somebody accidentally break their stuff, like while y'all up here just shooting people. And then the crazy lady had a lighter, which I don't even know how she, well, that's right, never mind. I don't even want to remember how she snuck it in there. And she used the lighter to heat up the needle to try and like burn through, which was pretty smart. And then she gives it to like the thug, who was just, oh God, like such an awful person. And he like uses it and was like, oh, thanks for letting me use that. And she was like talking about some, ooh, you're so attractive. And she was going on about how she wanted to be on his little team. And he was like, well, do you want to, you know, basically, do you want to give me something in return for doing that? And she did. And I, like I said, it made you skip. Like if you watch Cinema Sins, which I do occasionally, I don't be agreeing with all the stuff he be saying in there, but some parts like in the movies when he's like sinning it or whatever, he'd be like, skip. That's exactly what I do in my mind when these kinds of scenes like to come on. I'll be like, okay, it's time for us to move on. Like, I don't want to see y'all doing the nasty. Just move on. And so then she decides to be on his team. And then you had the doctor, who they had like a whole like little network of the men in pink that were like helping each other, help get him inside, and like put the cameras on a loop so that they could get him into a private room so that he could cut people open and take their organs. Well, the ones that like, I guess, whose organs weren't like blown to bits, like with the first game, where it was probably aiming for like people's like heart and lungs to kill them faster. So you can't use somebody's heart that's been, you know, shot with a gun. So, you know, they were cutting people open and taking their organs to sell them on the black market. And some of those people, if I remember correctly, they said had terminal illnesses. So what if it was like a terminal illness of the lungs, and they were taking the lungs and putting it in a bag to sell somebody? Boy, I tell you, just stupid. And so he was basically like, I need some extra food or like a hint as to what's going to happen next. And so they gave him like, that was when they had the egg or whatever, and I think that's when they gave him the hint as to what they were going to do next. And then he went back, and he was like, he went to the thug who had already recruited some of his cronies, and he was like, let me into your group. And he was like, I don't need you. What can you do for me? And he was like, well, I'm a doctor. And he was like, well, in case you haven't noticed, ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm fine, and we don't need a doctor right now. Like, so what can you do for me? And he was like, he like goes up to, just to him, not the others. And he was like, I know what we're going to do next. And he was like, all right, you can stay at the team. And I was like, that's such a sleazy move. But anyways, so he lets him stay. And then they got mad. Like, there was like, I think 4 or 5 people, or like 6 people, who didn't get food. They weren't even feeding them, really. But they didn't get the little bit that they were giving out, because the thug and the cronies and the crazy lady like got in line twice, and they didn't even care. Like, the other people, you know, the people in charge, like, you know, I call them like the Among Us people, because that's exactly what they look like with them weird masks. But they were basically like, we put out the exact number, so if you didn't get something, then that's on you. And one of the guys basically confronted him and was like, hey, you took the food. And one of the women like was like, hey, it was these guys. It was these guys. And then this thug literally beat this man to death, like, in the floor. And the main character was like banging on the door talking about, hey, he killed somebody in here. And they literally just came out and brought the coffin, like. So I think that that was their way of like kind of like testing people or showing them that they could kill people and get away with it. Which, I mean, I guess that's something that they were going to end up having to do anyways. So they wanted to go ahead and get a head start. And this thug instigated a whole fight. They were literally like sitting around like, oh, they let us get away with that. Okay, don't fall asleep. And they literally instigated a whole fight and was killing people, stabbing people, hitting people in the head with beams. And I was afraid for the old man. I was like, I hope the old man is hiding under something. He went for the girl with the freckles, tried to kill her. She managed to escape. The Pakistani guy, he was the one that saved their butts. Okay, he had that whole thing, was swinging it, and they were like, God, Lee, he's strong. And they were all hiding with him. And then the old man was like at the top. Like, first of all, how did he get himself up there? Okay, don't judge me for saying that. How did he get up there? And he was like, stop it. We shouldn't be doing this to each other. We're killing each other. And I was like, bravo to somebody trying to speak some sense into them. But by that time, they had literally knocked off quite a few people. And so then the little, you know, like I said, Among Us people came in with their little coffins and put them together and got the people. And they were like, I can't believe they did this. And then they just moved right on to the next game. And then they learned, you know, afterwards, like, you know, to build like a little fort to like keep people, you know, out. And that's what I was saying. Like, y'all need to either, like, if you're gonna do this by yourself, go all the way up there to the highest bed possible, so at least you can hear somebody creaking their way up to you before they get to you, and you could do something like shake the bed or jump. But they went ahead and like built a fort, and I was like, well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Okay. And it was just kind of sad though that they killed all those people cold blood though. And at first I thought, see, I told you I wouldn't have gotten far with this, because I thought they said that you just have to get through 6 games. Like, everybody has to get through 6 games, and whoever gets through 6 games without dying, that's who gets some money. And that basically, like, whoever makes it through, like, they all get money. No, you had to be like, you had to win. Like, you had to be the last person standing. So like I said, I missed that. I don't know what I wasn't listening or I wasn't paying attention at that part, but that's how it was basically. So I was like, this is really not nice and really not fair. So anyways, so they had, like I said, red light, green light. You had that. Then you had game number 3, tug of war. That was horrible what they did, by the way. I'm just being honest. So first off, I think it was like 100 and something people, like 108 or something, and then they knocked off like over 20. No, it was like 107 people. They knocked off 27 people, so that left them with like 80 people. So that was like the perfect number because it was an even number. So they had 8 teams of 10, and none of the men wanted to team up with the women because they were saying, oh, well, if this has something to do with like strength, we don't want women on our team because they're gonna hold us back. And I'm like, but what if it's like a game based on how many women you have on your team? Did y'all think of that? But anyways, so of course the thug ditches his little girlfriend, the crazy lady, and she got super pissed and was like, oh, I'm gonna get you back. And I believed her. That crazy lady, you could look at her eyes and tell her she was gonna get him back in one way or another. I was waiting for it too. I was like, when is she gonna get him back? Anyways, so, you know, he gets all men, and then of course, you know, her main character, him and his team, they had 3 women because she came crawling to their team with all that craziness and bravado, talking about something. You want to team with me? You know you want to team with me. Gift of gab. I'm like, lady, just be quiet. You're already over there. They might as well take you just to get you to shut up. But anyways, had 3 girls because another woman came and was like, oh, this is stupid. I'm going to be on your team, so. And they had an old man. And they were looking like, we're not going to win. And then they found out that the game is tug of war. And they were like, we're definitely going to lose because we've got 3 women and 1 old man. And that's like the worst case scenario, I guess, for them. And like, I think all the other teams either had all men or they didn't have 3 women. And they definitely didn't have an old man like him. And the old man, they basically convinced they were gonna lose. And so they, like, the thug and their team went first, and they pulled them straight through this with brute strength. And then they chopped the little cord, the little string. Oh God! And they were screaming at all 10 of them. on the floor, bloody, dead, head cracked open. And then the main character and his team. And so they were like, we're not going to win. And the old man was like, tug of war is not always about strength. It's about strategy. And I was like, they were like, okay, well, please, if you have input, put it in now. And he was like, it's about strategy. And you got to use the other team's momentum against them. And then they were like walking out confident. And then they literally demonstrated what he told them to basically throw their heads back and like use like momentum to like keep the other team from dragging them, which worked perfectly. And then once the other team lost their balance, they started like pulling them. And then at first they were going good, and then the other team like managed to stop them and then pull them back. And then the guy, the businessman, he was like, just take 3 steps forward. Everybody was like freaking out, like, nah, man. And he was like, just trust me. And they did it, and then they lost their balance because they were all pulling backwards. And then they managed to drag them over, and then they won. And they kind of all like, dang, we kind of just killed people today. But they didn't kill anybody. The game killed them. Well, you know what I mean. But anyways, it was sad though, and so everybody was like all upset and whatnot, and so I was upset for them because that was a very hard thing to do. Okay, know that you winning means somebody else dying. But anyway, so they all move on, and he the main character was like, I don't know about this no more, man. And then it was 80 people, so it was 2 teams of 10. That cut it down to literally half, 40 people. Yeah. Or was it 41 people? Yeah, that's right. And no, it was 40 people. Right, my bad. And then, the doctor. That's right. I think it was the doctor. It was 40 people. And then the doctor, they killed the doctor because they found out about his treachery. Now, in the meantime, there was a detective. I'll just call him the handsome detective. So the handsome detective, he was like going around because his brother was like missing. He found out his brother had got involved in those games. So he thought his brother died or something like that. Apparently, I think his brother had gave him his kidney or something like that. So he was like, I'm going to find my brother. And so he infiltrates this place, like follows the main character. After asking him about it and him denying it, follows him, watches him get in the van, follows the van all the way to I think it was like a boat that took them to the island. He gets on the boat or whatever, and sneaks in the van, whacks off one of the little Among Us looking individuals in the pink jumpsuit, and puts on the jumpsuit. And this guy was literally like, he infiltrated like the entire operation, was up in there like acting like them. They were like, okay, go to your rooms, lights out in 10, all right, get up, time to start the new day. And he was doing everything. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'm just put it that way. I just don't know how he was able to do all that without getting caught. And then too, like when they invited the VIPs, I'm gonna get to that later. But how he did all of this without getting caught, and of course he almost did. Like, and of course it's like this is almost like another game. It's like infiltrate without getting caught. Like learn how to be like them without getting noticed. So at the tug of war, of course, the crazy lady was PO'd, and like I said, she was mad, and she was really ready to get back at the guy for not letting her on his team. And then they were like, okay, so now the next game basically you have to have a partner. So they're all thinking like team up with whoever you think is gonna like be good for you or whatever. And she was trying to tell him like the guy who you teamed up, he's gonna stab you in the back. And that was how they managed to survive. Like the second time he was gonna start a fight to kill some more people. He was basically telling them, the main character's like, look, you over here trying to kill people, but what about the guys in your group? You think that they just gonna keep letting you like bypass them? They're gonna get you. And he got scared. He was like, you know what? I can't trust them. And he was acting like he trusted them, but he went ahead and was like, y'all just shut up and go to sleep, because he was scared, because he was afraid that one of them was gonna get him while he was distracted. And I was like, it shouldn't have even taken that much. And then the main character like gave his jacket to the old man after he accidentally urinated on himself. And I thought that was really, really nice of him to do. And so I feel like, they were saying, oh, well, you were lucky or whatever. And I'm like, no, he was blessed, okay? And I feel like the old man was looking out for him because he liked him. But anyways, so they get to like the little, team partner one. And of course, his best friend goes to partner with the guy from Pakistan. And he was like, you're strong, I'm smart. Like, that combination, you can't beat that combination. And so I was like, well, are you trying to say everybody else is stupid and weak? But anyway. And so, the main character was like, dang, what am I gonna do? And so then there was a guy who was like a math teacher. He was like, I turned out a lot of people for you. And so he just saw, you know, the old guy, and I guess it was just something deep down in him that just wouldn't let that old guy be by himself. So he goes, he gets him, he was like, let's team up. And he's like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. So then they end up finding out that they have to play a game of marbles in sort of like a stage that's like catered to fit like, you know, like an old, like, you know, neighborhood or whatever, right? No school, like family neighborhood. And that the loser so basically they were playing against each other. So it's like, oh yeah, be my partner, we're friends, and now y'all gotta kill each other. Basically, I was like, okay, so what is like the businessman gonna do with the guy from Pakistan? Because they're kind of cool. And I did not think he was gonna do that man like that. He was legit like, okay, let's play. Like, he was really thinking, because he was so smart, that he was gonna like win anyways. And he lost. He lost fair and square. He tricked that man. That man died knowing that he was tricked. And that broke my heart. He was standing there crying, like realizing what he did to him. That man tricked him, cheated, and then he died knowing that he was cheated. And he had a wife and a kid to take care of. And he didn't even care. Like, he just cared about himself. And I was just like, anyways, that messed me up. And I don't care what anybody says. He was wrong for that, because he lost. He should have took his L and died. I'm sorry. Instead of tricking somebody else, because he had just as much to lose as he did. And then the main character's playing with the old man who's having, like, you know, dementia moments. And he's like running around talking, please, sir, please, like yelling at them, like, we have to play that game. And then you have the two girls, the girls with the freckle and the girl that made me cry. Almost, but inside I cried. And she was like, so I guess one of us is not gonna make it through this. So let's wait until the last minute and we can come up with our own rules or whatever. And she was like, what are we gonna do until then? She was like, well, we could just talk about our lives. She was like, one of us is not gonna leave here today, so if you say something that you don't want anybody else to know, it's not like I'm gonna take it to anybody, you know. So they were telling each other about their lives, and I understood why the other girl was so upset about, like, you know, preachers and pastors, which not all preachers and pastors are bad, okay? I don't care what anybody says, but I understand, like, I kind of felt like something must have happened to her, you know, for her to feel that way. And so I just felt so awful for her, like, what she went through. And I just knew that something about that situation was not going to end well. And so she was talking about, why don't we, like, see who can throw it the furthest to this wall? And so, you know, the girl with the freckles, she, like, tosses it or whatever. And she's like, all right, it's her turn. And I just knew, she was going to drop that marble. She was just like, and drops it. She was like, why would you do that? She was like, you have something to return to, unlike me. So survive. And, God, when they blew her brains out, I was just like, I am sad. And then the old man, you know, was talking about some, you don't think I don't know you were tricking me? And he was like, I'm sorry. He was like crying. Well, he never said sorry, but he was crying. And that lip quiver, that was some grade A acting. Or maybe he wasn't acting. Maybe he was like, you know. But anyways, so then he was like, it's all right. This is where my son used to be. And my wife was, and blah, 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 this. And then he leaves, and then he hears a gunshot. Then they all get back, and they find out that the crazy lady survived. And I'm thinking, because they say, you know, there's one thing that they say about movies. They don't see you. You don't see them getting shot or killed on screen. That might not mean that they're not dead yet. And so they legit, like, gave her a free pass, because she didn't get, you know, anybody whatever. She was saying, like, oh, well, I'm cool because, like, they got me because, like, you know, whenever you don't get paired up with somebody, they have pity on you or something like that. She said, she explained it or whatever. And everybody, the thug was mad. He was mad because he was like, I legit just, like, had to play a game of chances with my life, and you just, you know, got off for free. And he deserved that, let's just be honest. But anyway, so then that next game, God, that second to last game, whoo-wee, with the glass, that was brutal. That was God, like them talking about all the numbers. And that was when they brought the VIPs in. And then that was when the guy with the black, he was trying to figure out, like, who got in there and how to get him. He was like, oh, I gotta find who it is. And he was like, come out now. I might not hurt you if you come out. I just want to know who you are and how you got up in here or whatever. He managed to get up out of there. He really did. And he was like, you know, the detective, the hands of detective, and he was like going around recording, taking pictures of everything. And then he got in the room with the VIPs, and they had all those basically butt naked people. And I was like, these people really think that just because they are in like what, the 1% of people with all the money, that they literally can treat people like objects and tools for their pleasure and entertainment. And he was like, you know, serving or whatever. And I was like, you know, God, he's getting mighty close. And then that one guy, that slouchy slouch, gonna call him over and be like, ooh, look at those eyes. Like, I want to see your face. And I'm like, just leave him alone. And he was like, oh, sir, like, I can't take off my mask. Like, they're gonna shoot me. I was like, just leave him alone. He kept telling him, I can't take off my mask. I'm sorry. And he was like, either you take it off or I'm gonna kill you right here. And then he like, wait. He goes, wait. Let's go somewhere private. And I was like, oh my God. And then he gets in there and he's like, satisfy me. And I just wanted to throw. I wanted to grab the closest waste bucket and throw up, first of all. And second of all, I just feel so sad. I just got so sad because I know stuff like that happens in real life. And it's like, I almost got depressed just seeing him like in that position, like, because that was just a horrible position he was in. But he literally took control of that situation. And then he got, you know, he got the gun out, like he grabbed him by the, you know, the dingleberries, as they say, and he was like, now satisfy me in 5 minutes, tell me everything you know about this game. And I guess he knocked him out and he found a way to get out of there. And he took one of those little, you know, water things, the scuba diving gear, to get up out of there. And the guy followed him. Comes to find out, I had been thinking it this entire time that was his brother, and he gonna take the mask off. He's like, I can't believe you. How could you do this? And then he shoots him and he falls. Not only was I mad because, like I said, I really liked him, the handsome detective, but he went through a lot on that island. Too much for him to die like that. And I was like, he has to be alive somewhere. He has to be. Like, he has too much evidence. And he was talking about, you know, his brother was talking about, you really think that the police are going to come? You know, the police can be lackadaisical sometimes. They move slow, if at all. Good luck, because this island has no service. And I was like, I'm afraid they're not going to get there. I'm afraid he might have actually died. But I want him to be alive because he went through too much to die like that. To die like that. I was so mad. But anyway, so the elites, the VIPs are watching these people off each other and fall. Talking about one's tempered glass and one's glass. Good luck, you know, game of chances. Find out which ones you're gonna fall through. People talking about, I think it's that one, jumps, falls through. Ah! Splat. I was like, and then they just lackadaisically take them with, you know, the little chess pieces with their numbers on. It goes flip, flip, swats off the table. And I was like, wow, so that's what their lives mean to you people. Okay. So then it was getting like low. And it was crazy because I was like, I kept saying because they had like 16 people left, I think. Yeah, like 16 or 17 people. And it was 17 people because one guy committed suicide because he played the partner game with his wife and he just couldn't take it. And I was like, man, that's so sad. But anyway, so, you know, the guy who was like talking to the main character was like, just please let me have number one. I've always chickened down and went last because I'm a coward. I want to be brave for once in my life. And I was kind of like, I mean, but see, you know, the VIPs were pointing out that people were going for the middle numbers, which was pretty smart for the most part. Because if you don't know what game it is, I guess it would be good to be in the middle just in case. So if it's something bad and, you know, you're coming at the back, then you get less of the bad, right? But if it's something good and you're at the front, then hey, you get it good. But if you're in the middle, I would rather play it safe and be at the middle than risk my life on choosing an extreme. He waited too long. Everybody took up the middle numbers and then took up the numbers. They just didn't think. And he was like, well, let me help him make a decision. Depending on which number you choose, that's the order of which you will play the next game. So because he was listening to the guy who wanted number one so bad, he went ahead and got the last number. He literally turns around and looks at him like, I can't believe that one time in my life I decided to not chicken out. It's the one time I should have chickened out. And I was like, wow, he really messed up. But anyway, so then they started going one by one and they were pushing people. And then even the thug had common sense. He was like, I'm not gonna push the person in front of me because he's going to make sure, like, the more people we have in front of us, that's the more people we can make sure get the right tiles, or at least knock out the wrong tiles for us. And like I see now, when you were killing all those people, you should have been thinking about maybe I would need them along the way. Because imagine if they had like 50 people, or they had like 40 people. Anyways, people will fall into their deaths talking about some, I think it was that one. Are you sure? Yeah. Steps on it, falls to their death. And then it got down to like, even it was like a waste of bodies, because I know she was trying to get back at him. But she totally wasted at least 2 bodies worth of like risking tiles just by getting him back. Talking about something, oh, you really thought I was going to help you. And then just kills them both. And I was like, that's got to be some vengeance. But girl, you could have maybe won the money. Like, come on now. Just to kill him? But anyway, so then it was just, the girl with the freckles, the main character, the businessman, and the guy who just happened to be, he was like he worked with like glass, or like a glass factory or whatever. And they were like, why didn't you say anything before all them people falling to their deaths? He was like, those people tried to kill me. Of course I was going to help them. And I was like, I mean, I guess he kind of has a point, but that's still wrong. But anyways, he's like looking, and then they're going to turn off the lights to make it more interesting to the VIPs. Then he was like, give me something to throw. And I kept saying the entire time, where are the marbles? Did y'all keep the marbles? Did y'all give all the marbles away? Where are the marbles? So he could have threw it. Well, I don't know if the marbles would have been heavy enough to crack the glass. But I was like, they should have been doing something like trying to reach over and like press on the glass to see if it would break or something. So he throws a marble to see, to hear the sound that it would make, to see if it was like tempered glass or not. And then the guy, the businessman gonna get impatient and push him, because the thug wasted a lot of time. He was like, I'm not going anywhere because there's nobody in front of me, and we will all go down before I let any of y'all in. And I was like, that's just trifling. But anyways, he pushes the guy and onto the wrong tile, and they were looking at him like, how could you do that? Like, he was helping us. And he was like, no, he was in our way. And then they get over to the end right on time, and they blow up all the glass. And then to make it worse, it's like, first of all, they won fair and square, but then they blew up the glass and caused the girl with the freckles to get hurt. And I was like, that is ridiculous. She won, and y'all basically killed her for it. She literally got stabbed with like glass in her gut, and I was like, yeah, she's not about to survive that. Especially when she took it out, I was like, oh no, she's not gonna survive that. And then they like gave him a meal, like lamb chop, like, and he was looking at him like. It's like, so you just killing people. You want the money that bad. All right, I'm going to keep my eye on you. And then they gave him those knives, and I was like, so either the last game is them killing each other, or they're basically telling each other, like, you're going to need this to defend yourself with. And he was saying, like, I can't trust you anymore. And he was basically telling them, like, well, you're this, and you're less than a man, because, you don't ever do what, has to be done. And he was like, well, first of all, if I'm such a nitwit and I'm such a scum, why are you here with me? Like, what made you be here with me? And I was like, yeah. Think about that, sir. So then he goes to the girl, and he was like, listen, you got to stay awake. I'm going to help you out. And she was looking at him. She was like, look, if anything happens to either of us, let's promise each other that we're going to help. Like, we're going to get rid of him, but we're going to help each other's families. He was like, don't talk like that. She was like, no, still promise me anyways. And I was like, he better promise her, because she's dying. Like, the amount of blood that she was losing, she was dying. And so he was like, just stay here, I'm going to go get help. And he should have knew better. He should have knew better that they were going to help them. He's banging on the wall. And of course, I knew that the moment he left her side, the other guy, his friend, was going to like kill her. And he slit her throat, of course. And so he was like, how could you? And then they separate them. Then they, tell them, the Squid Game, which I never heard that before a day in my life. I'm gonna just be honest. And then they were fighting. They were fighting like for real. And then he confronted her like, you were garbage for what you did to her. Like, we could have saved her. And he gonna say, and I knew he was gonna say that. I knew he was gonna say, oh, well, she was dying anyways. Like, she was already dying. Like, I knew he was gonna use that excuse. And they were fighting. He punched him and threw sand in his face. And all those moves were like, he had some serious, like, emotion behind those, because I think he did care about her. Like, he wanted her to survive, because she had a little brother. And so I'm like, how is he going to, like, how is he gonna break news to her brother? Like, so they're fighting and biting each other, stabbing each other. At first, I didn't think the main character was gonna make it, but he did. And then, like, of course, I don't know, I guess his best friend, or his friend from childhood, was just like, I guess he realized, how awful he had been throughout the game. And he was just like, just my mother, help my mother. And then he stabbed himself. And I was like, dang, he was thinking about her till the very end. And he was like, no, we can figure something out. And they were like, congratulations, sir, you won. And then they dropped him back off at home and literally put the doggone car. I was like, that's some messed up stuff. Put the thing in his mouth. I guess they shoved it down his throat, and he was like, and I'm like, oh God, what did they do to him? And he spit out the card, and I was like, okay. And it had his 45 billion on it, and I was like, wow, on one card. And then he goes home after, I guess, going to the hospital to treat his wounds. Well, he went to I think he was passing by his friend's mom. She was like, have you seen my son? And he was like trying not to cry, because how do you tell her that he's dead? And he couldn't. She was like, oh, never mind. Well, if you see him, just tell him, I just want to see him or whatever. And here you go, here, have some free mackerel. Say your mama said hi. So he goes home, and he's like, Mom, and she's dead on the floor. And I was like, that is horrible. And he literally just like gets on the floor next to his mom, and I was like, that is so sad. Like, I was so heartbroken for this man. Like, I was like, so after all of that, watching all that death, losing people that you cared about, including your best friend who tries to kill you, and then your mother, like, that was horrible. And there's no amount of money like that can make that better. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do better with the money, but that doesn't take away the trauma and the pain. And I was telling my brother, I was like, that money, like a good portion of that money, he's gonna have to spend on years of therapy and like counseling from the trauma, PTSD, like medication, something for that, because what he went through, that was just absolute hell. But anyways, so a whole year passed, and he's like living homelessly, because like a homeless person, because like he's crazy in the head because of everything he's been through. And so he went back to the bank to do something, or they were asking him to like deposit some more money or something like that. I can't remember. And then I forgot. Oh, he saw the old man. Oh, the old man gave him like a card or whatever. Well, it was like the little rose that he bought. So he goes up there to meet the old man. He was like, so you were behind this? And then I was shook as I was like, so that's the guy who's behind that mask, the owl mask. And he was like, why? I just want to know why. And he was giving, like, of course, stupid reasons, like, oh, well, I just wanted to have some fun. I was getting older. This was happening. I just wanted to have some fun or whatever. And I was like, that is no excuse. There is nothing that can excuse what those people did. And he was, like, talking about someone, remember, they did sign the waiver. They did agree to come back. I was like, but y'all literally preyed on people's weaknesses. Like, people were in debt. People needed money. And y'all preyed on them in the weak spot that they were, you know. That's still not okay. Nothing could justify what they did. You know what I'm saying? They preyed on people and then got paid to exploit them, basically, because those people were betting on them. And so he was like, let's play one more game. Let's bet that homeless guy gets left out by midnight, I win. And if you can bet, like, if somebody will help him, you still trust in people. And it was getting close to midnight, but there was a woman. I thought she pickpocketed him, and I was like, that is a messed up thing to do. Somebody dying in the street, but she actually brought the police back to come get him, like, right before midnight, like. And so he was like, oh well, and he literally dies, because I'm like, okay, so what makes this old man think that even if he does win the bet, he's gonna live long enough to enjoy whatever he's getting if he wins? So he dies, like, right there. And so I think that was when he realized, like, that he had to remember to keep his promise. So he went and he got that girl, the girl with the freckles, her brother, took him to the woman who, his best friend's mom, gave him a bunch of money to, take care of him, make life better for him. And I thought that was so beautiful. And I guess he went to work, he got a new job, and he was doing so much better for himself. Got a haircut, dyed his hair, did what he wanted to with his hair. And I'm like, I'm here for it, sir. I'm here for it. And he was like gonna go get back on track with his life, but then he saw somebody playing that same stupid game that everybody did in the beginning. He was like, I can't believe they are about to recruit another set of over 400 people. And he like gets the guy, and he was like, give me that card. And he was like, no, stop. He's like, no, you're not doing this. And then he calls them, and then the guy, with the black mask was like, play at 456. What are you doing? And he was like, I'm not gonna, y'all just think y'all can get away with doing this to people? And he was like, player 456, take your money, enjoy your life, get on the plane, go see your daughter. And he was like, you're not gonna get away with this. And he was like, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth what you're throwing away. And he was like, you're not gonna do this again. And he hangs up. And me and my brother was like, if you don't get your narrow behind on that plane and go home and see your daughter, what does he do? He turns around to go do something. I'm like, what are you going to do? You were blessed to make it out of there barely the first time. But I guess he decides that like he's got to do something. He's just the type of person that he's like, I'm not gonna let them take advantage of another set of people like this, which is, you know, noble and brave. But it's like, bro, you have a daughter, like you gotta. You want to be a part of her life, and she needs you to be a part of her life. Yes, she has a stepfather and she has a mother, but she needs you in her life. And I get it, and it's just, there's just that part of him that just like could not walk away knowing that they were gonna do that to some people again, and he had to do something to stop them. So of course they're setting up obviously for a season 2. But I'm mad because the detective died. I think he died, and I was so mad when that happened, because he went through. You just don't go through all of that just to die, get shot in the shoulder, and then fall in the water. I was like, dang, that sucks. But anyways, I just hope he's alive. And of course, season 2, what is season 2 gonna be? Him going through the games again? And it's gonna be the same games? I just hope that they these VIP people, that they get them, because I tell you, that made me mad and sad at the same time. That scene with him in the room, I was like, please don't hurt this man. Please don't do that. Please don't do this to him. Like I was just like, oh my god. Like I was so nervous of what's gonna happen. This was a good series. Like I said, it made me sad because of all the people that died, the brutality, the goriness. I did not realize how gory it was gonna be, but it was a good series. It was good. Season 2, I'm here for it. Season 2, like, you know, I'm here for it. Like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be as gory as the season, but I'm here for it. You know, this was a good series. Like I said, it was very sad and depressing, and it really made you think. Like, I'm gonna make sure I keep my life straight when it comes to my money, because I don't ever want to think about something like this happening to me. Like, feeling like I gotta risk my life just for money. Anyway, so y'all tell me what y'all thought about this series in the comments below. I'm sorry, this was like a really long video, but I did all like 9 videos, 9 episodes in this one video, so that's why it's so long. But anyways, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments below.